Good morning. I'm Ved Shinde, and my topic for today is meaning and scope of supply. My roll number is M23167, and my class is TYBMS Finance. So, in this presentation, we would first discuss about introduction, that is, what is supply, elements of supply, time of supply for goods and services, and place of supply for goods and services. So, let's talk about introduction first. So, what is supply? So, the concept of supply is the foundation of taxation under GST Act. So, it is not merely just manufacture or sale of a product alone. There are certain qualities that it has to qualify for it to be considered to be supply. Then, why do we need to understand or determine if it is a supply or not for GST? Well, it is very critical to determine the tax liability and compliance. Therefore, determination of product to be supply or not is very important. So, how do we determine it actually? So, there are some certain elements of supply that product or the transaction has to qualify for it to be considered as a supply. First is consideration, that is payment in money or otherwise. It could be kind, it could be some other vouchers, it could be some other means of payment acceptable by both the parties or all the parties included in the transaction. It could be deferred or non monetary payment, as mentioned. Second is business purpose. It should relate to the business. It should not be for personal use. It should not be for any other use apart from business. Taxable person, the supplier must be registered or liable for GST. So if he is not registered with GST, then there is no point of him paying GST, or he is not liable to pay. Goods or services. So supply should be either in goods or services. Both it could be tangible or intangible. Tangible would be machinery, any sort of product produced, or service could be any sort of service which is given to like cameraman, photographer, videographers, event managers, etc. It could also be intangible in the form of patents, copyrights, etc. Then we will discuss about what is time of supply. So to determine when the GST is payable, it is very essential for us to determine the time of supply. So for time of supply, for goods, the general rule is it is the earliest of first date of invoice of issuance, second last date of issue of invoice, third date of receipt of payment. So from these three, whichever is the earliest, that is the time of supply. In reverse charge, perhaps it is time of supply, which is the earliest of date of payment, date immediately following 30 days from supplier's invoice. Both of these conditions, whatever is the earliest, that would be the date of time of supply. Second is for services. The general rule is date of invoice. Date of invoice. Second is date of payment. Third is service completion date. So if one of them is not available, then either of them, whichever is the earliest, would become the time of supply. For reverse charge, it is time of supply is equal to the earliest of date of payment, date immediately following 60 days from supplier's invoice, which is the earliest. Then we come to place of supply. So it is very important for us to determine whether it is interstate or intrastate. According to that, it changes the GST liable part of the economy. So if it is intrastate, the GST applicable would be CGST and SGST accordingly, 50-50% of split depending upon the tax rate. And if it is interstate, it would be IGST levied entirely on the goods. So it is very essential for us to determine the place of supply. So the general rule for goods is place of supply is equal to the location where the movement terminates, that is delivery location. So for example, if it moves from A to B, B would become the place of supply if there is any movement. Secondly, for services, it is the location of the registered. If it is registered, it is the location of recipient. If it is unregistered, then the location of supplier. In some special situation like installation or assembly, the place of installation becomes the place of supply. If goods are supplied on board conveyance, then the boarding location. Some special cases, for example, would be immovable property. So the property, if it is not movable, for example, supply of machine, a factory, for example, would be it is not movable. So the location of factory would be the place of supply. Secondly, if it is performance-based services, for example, a videographer, a photographer, a wedding photographer. So the location of the photo shoot would be the performance based place of supply. Secondly, if it is transportation, if person A is going from Mumbai to Manali, so the Manali would be the destination, and that perhaps would be the place of supply. Secondly, if it is online or digital service, the recipient's location would be the place of supply. If I am making a recharge online for my SIM card, then my current location would be the place of supply. So that is all in regards to what is the meaning and scope of supply. Thank you.